Good morning or good afternoon. Guys, I am in a tank top. Hopefully I don't blind you, like lily white skin from the winter. But it is like 70 degrees outside and feels amazing. I got my favorite handy dandy square foot gardening tool. Used and abused this thing is. And we are planting more peas. So this year I went big, got a big old batch of Mr. Big Pea from Haas, and we're gonna be planting, we're gonna do 9 per square feet, which if you have the square foot seeding square, it is the yellow. I can hardly tell, they look white because mine's so faded. But we have rain coming in a couple days, so I wanted to get these in the ground so that they could get nice and watered in. And I'm doing 2 rows. Actually, I should measure this out right before let's see. Let me bring you guys down here so you can see how I measure my spacing. All right, you guys can see this will be my first square, and then I leave myself a foot pathway to walk and harvest, and then we go another square for planting. So this is probably a 6-foot wide bed that I'm in. So 1 square of peas, another square of peas down this entire row. Sometimes I'm glad I have you guys with me in the garden so I can talk out loud and make sure I'm doing it right. Sometimes I'll just get out here and go to work, and if I don't have to explain myself, I don't check myself. So you know what else just came in the mail? My onions. Super excited about that. So if you don't know and you are following the advice from probably Minnie to buy onion slips from Dixondale Farms, you're gonna want to take those out of the package and let them air dry. Like actually unbundle them because they'll come like rubber banded together in bundles, and let them air dry for, I think their directions say anywhere from like a week to 2 weeks before you plant them. Not quite sure why that process is what it is, but I always do it and have great luck. So when I get in from doing the garden today, that's what I'll be doing, taking those out. So maybe I'll end today's video or maybe I'll do a whole separate video just in case somebody's interested in that for the first time. What else is new? Oh, yesterday I chose to, you know how if you've been following me for a long time, one of the things that I haven't quite found room for to grow a large enough quantity is peas in my garden. It's amazing how many peas it takes to, pea plants it takes to actually yield a year's supply of peas. So while I will be doing these 2 rows, and I also do a fall crop in this main garden, I chose to dedicate one of my green stalk garden planters to peas this year. So hopefully that goes good and they go good. But I know somebody, I think it was Ann Farm Girl in the Making, did a whole green stalk garden planter to green beans and had a great harvest. So I kind of took her lead and said, yeah, why not, right? That's pretty smart. So I have not done any weed management in the garden so far this season, with respect to putting down like a new fresh cardboard and wood chips. I actually probably typically only do that. I would say no, I've done it every season since I've lived here so far. And I was walking through today, I planted some larkspur that I got from Redemption Seeds. I'd had those seeds in the refrigerator since I got them, just doing their stratification process. And I planted those in the 2 back corners and then in all the flower pots. And I did notice some grass pressure, which I don't commonly deal with, but I think I'm gonna have to get either something. I'm gonna have to do something. I don't know what. It's not really in my desired plan to have to like manage the whole garden this year, but we'll see. And when I say I do 9 per square feet, just to let you guys know, I don't know. I never know what I'm gonna actually make a video on versus not. So just in case, I'm gonna run a trellis like down the middle of that square foot. And then I'll teach the peas on the outside to climb up. So. Another thing that the seeding squares are really good for, if you're bad like me, it's so good for helping maintain straight lines in your garden, if you care about that kind of thing. I care about it, I'm not good at it. Like, I cannot just naturally draw a straight line to save my life. And you will see that I am just planting right in this barn clean out that I put in. You know, I kind of just push down a hole and hopefully they grow just fine. To have a road just like this, I think they're about 22 feet, probably 22 feet long and 6 feet wide on the opposite side of the garden. And that's where I'm growing my tomatoes this year. And I was sitting out here just thinking before I decided, to go ahead and plant my peas, looking at everything. And I think I'm going to plant more carrots with all those peas. So I don't think I've introduced, a lot of you might be new this garden season with me. And I don't think I've ever shared that I just do a staples garden. Maybe I did when I shared my garden plan. So I just focus on my main crops. Like, what are the main things I need to grow to put up in my pantry to have a year's supply of food? And my garden space is only a 40 by 40 garden space. So it's pretty small, considering we have 7 acres, I should say. And I kept it that way because it's manageable. I mean, it's just me that gardens. You know, my husband, Todd, is a great help when it comes to infrastructure, but gardening's not his thing. It's not something like he thoroughly enjoys doing, where I thoroughly enjoy doing it. And what'd I start to say? Oh, so for me to have a bigger garden than that, it's not really something I could manage myself. And I also, now that I have a YouTube channel, I'm thankful that I kept it small, because I think hopefully it's encouraging to people that live in just urban lots that you don't need a big space to grow a year's supply of food. I mean, 40 by 40, I think most average suburban backyards are bigger than what my garden is. So, anyway, I say that to say where I'm putting my carrots this year, I'm doing for the first time ever my huge harvest in one of my in-ground beds. And I counted out my seed spacing the other day while I was out here, and it only came out to be, I don't know, maybe around 1,700 carrots, which isn't my average. My average growing how many carrots is I usually plant 3,500 carrots for a hopes of half of that to be canning worthy carrots. So I needed to find more space. And I think between my tomatoes, 2 tomato rows is perfect. Because I'll be able to harvest those before the majority of the tomatoes are coming in. And they won't necessarily be in my way when it comes major tomato harvest time. I did also, the other video the other day, I did say I didn't have any potassium, but I do have some rock phosphate, so I can come out and sprinkle some rock phosphate on these peas when I'm done. And that should give them a boost. I'm not putting any fertilizer down right now since I just amended these beds with the composted manure, the wood ash. I'll sprinkle on some rock phosphate before the rain, and I won't fertilize for until they're up. Well, I'm nearing the end, maybe 10 more feet. And I was just took a break to go check my phone, and I was thinking what else I could share with you while I'm doing this. And I guess for my new subscribers that are just interested in growing your own food, one of the goals that I have personally to share with you is, I know starting out as a first-time gardener, it took me quite a while to figure out how much I needed to grow for my family. And now everyone's family is going to be different, so a lot of you will be, I guess, questioning based on my comment of growing like 3,500 carrots, you know, how much do you need to grow? And I'll go ahead and answer that question a little bit right now, and that it is so very dependent on how your family eats, like your style of cooking. So my common question is, or my common answer is, if you grow, you know, make or your desire is to make a breakfast completely from homegrown foods, a lunch completely from homegrown foods, and a dinner from that, your needs are going to be far different than mine. So mine is, when I first started gardening, I would say I had 2 children at any given point in time living with me. And now it's just Todd and I, me and my husband. And so we typically, I don't eat breakfast. That's just not a habit that I have. For lunch, I make homemade bread and I'll have a sandwich. And then we have dinner. So we basically grow food for, I would say, lunches and dinners, because a lot of times our lunches consist too of leftovers. So it really is just going to be, you know, practice. And what helped me establish that would be, I would set a goal every year of how much I wanted to be able to can based on what I know I consume. So I think the first year, my first goal was 20 quarts of spaghetti sauce. And I think maybe I got 8. So that told me, okay, the next year you need to grow even more tomatoes. And I finally learned, for a family, for our style of cooking and our style of eating, my goal is 28 quarts of spaghetti sauce. And I finally learned that with salsas, with tomato sauce, barbecue sauce, ketchup, I need to grow about 30 tomato plants per year. And so that's just my encouragement to you. If you're just starting out, set a goal, plant way more than you think you're going to need, I would say, with the exception of things that don't preserve well, right? So last year I grew way too much salad greens. I couldn't give it away for free. But carrots is another one. You have to grow way, way more carrots than you could ever possibly dream. Peas, another one. Spinach, another one. So it's, green beans. Now they're very, very prolific. So I can personally get away with a big 16 or 8 foot long cattle panel. No, 16 feet of cattle panel to grow a year's supply of green beans. I haven't figured it out for peas yet. I'm still working on it. I just don't think I have enough growing space. So my goal is, when pricing goes down, I'm going to fix this fencing around my garden. And we're going to have trellis all the way around the garden that I can grow peas, which will dramatically increase how much growing space I have. So if you're in an urban lot, I'd encourage you to look at your fencing. Those are all growing spaces to grow vertically where you don't have to consume a lot of space. So I think focusing on a staples garden is going to help you initially. I know it's fun to grow all the things, but if your goal is to grow food for your family for the year, focus on those staples and get those down, like your potatoes and your tomatoes and your carrots and your peas and your beans. And once you have those down and you're rock solid and secure on your food, then you can start branching out, right? You always give yourself some fun thing to grow in the garden, though. Like today, having larkspur planted in the garden, that's honestly just for joy. It's just for the sheer joy of it, and it will make me happy if they come up, and it'll be a pretty thing. It'll be good for the pollinators. We always put sunflowers in our garden every year. So that was just the only other thing I thought to share with you as I'm sitting out here planting 1,000 peas. Last square foot. Well, maybe 2 more. Whew, feels good though to have the first things planted in the garden. So good. What was I gonna share with you? Oh, I'm gonna do my trellis a little bit differently this year if we have the material for the peas. I don't know if you guys watch Joe and Zach's Survival or Northern Seclusion, their Wisconsin channel that we've been watching. Oh my goodness, longer than we've been watching Justin Rhodes. And he does his trellis, he uses like chicken wire and has like posts in it, and then when he pulls it up he just kind of rolls it all together and sets it away for the end of the season. And things like peas that don't need big cattle panels, I told Todd I want to see if we have any leftover chicken wire from making the chicken coops, and if we do, then I want to use that, and then I won't have to waste like my more sturdy, heavy-duty cattle panels for something lightweight like peas. So that's the plan. I think I can fit probably 6 more in each row. So I'll tell you at the end of this how much did I fit in this row right here. And I've definitely have to do something with this fence this year. I noticed rabbits had chewed through this, I don't know if you guys can see this, it's that plastic deer fencing, and they've chewed through it in a couple spots in the garden. And as I've been planting in here, I've seen little rabbit droppings. So they're definitely in here, and I need to get them out. All right. I've still got plenty of seed there. So that is going to be fall pea seeds. And let me count this out and I'll tell you how much I got. 396. You guys see that? I don't think you can. Whew. It's not showing up. 396 pea plants. And I bought a bag of 1,700 seeds. So I know I need to grow a ton more. I wouldn't have bought that big of a bag, honestly. And that's about as much as I can fit in my garden space. Now I'm going to get a ton of comments. Well, Rachel, just extend your garden space. Make it bigger. You have so much land. I know. But it is so much work to manage by myself that I'll deal with what I can get out of that. I'll do a fall crop. And when I get this garden space, let me tell you how many more that would be. So that's 40 times 40. That's 1,600 square feet times 9 per square feet. I could grow 14,400 pea plants if I just had my surrounding borders. Wait, 40? Isn't that how you do 40 squared? 40 square feet? Yep. 40. Hold on, let me make sure I'm doing that right. That might not be right. Calculator. 40 times 4. That would be if I end 40 square feet would be this entire inside planted with peas. We can't do that. So 40 times 4 equals 160 times 9 equals 1,440 square feet. See, I was spot on. This has 1,700 seeds. If I had had my fence up like I had planned, that's 1,400 pea plants around the perimeter, plus my 300 inside. Guys, I know what I'm doing. It's just I don't have my fence yet. So lumber prices are just too high right now. Unless something miraculous happens and I twist Todd's arm enough. It might not happen this year. So that's okay. We'll make do. Thanks guys for coming out in the garden with me. I've got Todd digging in the barn right now to see if I have any of that chicken wire left that we can make a trellis. And if he finds any, I'll leave you with the B-roll of us putting that up here at the end. But if not, it'll wait till another day. Thanks guys, I appreciate you so much. Happy gardening where you are. It's bright out.
Do you have fun out here today?
So much fun.
It does feel good. Mm-hmm. I got all the maple sap buckets cleaned.
Great. Cleaning up my mess.
I follow behind you, yeah.